There you go.
It's Thursday night, and you know what that means.
Will you look back when you're old and grey and think those dumb kids had a lot to say when we were trying to make this night one you'd remember? I don't care if my wheels don't turn, I don't care if my pipe don't burn, as long as I am flowing through your veins after I'm gone away.
Is that the first? Did you say it last week?
Sorry,
I can't remember.
no, I didn't.
But for the first episode of Scare Seekers Undertow, which we'll get into, but I just want to say first, and you don't know about this, I don't think, and I hope I've got it right. But I just want to say congratulations to Park Pulse, who is expecting. I think it's twins. I hope I've got that right. But I just wanted to say to him because I know he's going to be in the chat tonight.
Congratulations!
And hello to everyone else. But without further ado, let's bring on our guests. No. First, we've got from Scare Seekers himself, James Darkshed. How you doing?
Hello, yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
I went for all cute spooky this time. Sorry, guys.
And also Ellie from Travel.
Hello.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the old Daz Games.
Oh, how's it going, Daz? Listen, welcome back to Daz Games.
So this came about. I'm going to quickly just say it. This Scare Seekers is on a bit of hiatus, so I got in touch with James and Joe, and I said, "Can I do a bit of a supplement to it?" And they were like, "Yeah." So we're doing this on the second Thursday of every month. But this, I wanted to start off with video games that scared us as kids. I don't know if you want to start, James. Have you got any in mind that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've written notes because I'm prepared. Yeah, I mean, I had to really try and think of some because I don't usually like play horror games or anything. So I thought of some like when we did the kind of kids TV episode, which were ones that you wouldn't really expect to be scary.
Yeah.
And so the first one I put was I don't know if you've heard of Banjo-Kazooie, that game. Well, there was the sequel to that, and I played it really briefly. But there was one level in I think it was called Target Sands Temple. It was like a first-person shooter thing where there were these like creepy polygonal cats that came towards you. You had to try and shoot them. And I always have an issue with like things that kind of run towards the camera. And so that was just really creepy. I think just like really uncanny as well with that. But creepy cats in Banjo-Kazooie, I guess.
Is that where your love of creepy cats started? Because you've got
mine are definitely not as creepy as those ones. Definitely
do you think the graphics add to that as well? Because I think sometimes the old like PlayStation 1 as well, I find that the blocky graphics are just
just like really creepy and
add to the eeriness of it.
Definitely.
I'm just sorry.
I know you probably got others on your list, but I'll flick over to Ellie.
Yeah, I'm not ignoring. Sorry, I'm not ignoring, but I'm just trying to find all my responses about.
When I was at my youngest, it would have to be Five Nights at Freddy's, but don't get me wrong, I did try horror games on Roblox, and there is actually some quite scary, like seasonal chapter kind of games where you have to walk through, do puzzles, and get really bad jump scares. So I haven't really played much horror games, but there's a lot on Roblox. It's like a platform where you can make your own games, get really creative, and they update the software every time.
Did you complete Five Nights at Freddy's?
I did, but it was very scary at the end. It's very tense. It's very tense. Oh,
it's Discover Explorers, which is also Chroma from Arizona, which I've been talking to him about the baseball. They beat us, so he's happy and I'm not. But yeah, I've actually got a lot of. I mean, have you got a list of other games before I go into mine, James?
I've only got a couple. One was one was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire on PS2. There was one moment where they had these creatures called Bavarian Earthlings, which are like these creepy twig-like characters. And when you first see them, they're kind of like they run off camera in a way. In the background, like you think they're statues, but then they run off in the corner, and then they just come out and start like whistling and being creepy. And then the only other one was a bit of a surprising one as well was Breath of the Wild, the Legend of Zelda game. The one bit I found really creepy with that was my brother was playing it once, and on the death screen, like the character falls to the ground and everything freezes, but it froze when there were like a load of enemies near the camera, and so they just like froze near the camera, like jittering, which was really creepy and uncanny. Again, like much better graphics, but still kind of creepy that it glitched in that way. So yeah, that's all mine. Very weird suggestions, but yeah.
Do you want to?
Ben from Ben and Holly's just now has put, not an old game, but I found Outlast really terrifying. Played it in the dark with a headset and had to stop because I was so scared.
Nice.
Outlast is scary. The second one is weird because the AI is much better on it, but you can also just run past it, so you can run through the whole game. I thought you had some of your phone before I get into
I've
ones
got quite a fair few, so your responses are amazing, everyone. So thank you to everyone. I'm sorry that I spammed everyone, but at the same time, I was like, I really want to know.
Actually, before we get into the ones we got from home and the ones I've got this one. I want anyone to challenge me on this. If you're old enough to remember this game, if you played this game as a kid, did this music and what happens when this music plays evoke fear? I'm going to play the clip. That just sets off your anxiety so much.
That went somewhere.
It did me, and I think that's one of the responses I've got as well. It's more the sounds as well that does me with some things, but so I've got quite a few different things to do with video games that people got scared of, actually, from my responses. So I've got Kate Elizabeth, so thank you as well for responding. She put definitely the carnage scene in the Spider-Man PlayStation game. Not too sure what that one is, to be honest. I don't know if anyone's played that one, but apparently that is definitely hers. Uncharted seemed like quite a popular one as well.
Yeah, it kind of. I don't know how much I'm allowed to spoil about this.
Yeah, Majora's Mask.
Yeah, Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't say that I've played any of those games, but mine would be quite a unique one that I don't think anyone's actually ever heard of, because I've searched high and low. It took me a whole day to go through what game it was, because my brother played it and he had a surround sound system on to connect with it on the PlayStation. I think it was back in the day, or it might have been Sega Saturn, I don't know. But the way that the creature moved in it freaked me out. And then when you thought you defeated it, it actually evolved again.
Do you want to tell people the name of
the name of the game is Parasite Eve. And the way that they played the sound and the silence in it as well, and the movement, the sound, the movements, it freaked me out when I was younger. But yeah, it's quite a good one, that one. But it's very like old school graphics. Like, you're not going to be wild by it if you're used to like HD games and stuff. But
I'm going to go through my picks, and then we can talk a bit about Scarefest, because I know people want to talk about Scarefest. But and then later on, I've got some photos of the covers of them as well. But I've got some films that take place in scare mazes in the films, some horror films, which I'm checking this month. But basically, let's see if we can. This is going to seem really weird, because I was hoping Gareth would be here because he talked about Night Trap last week. So I'm going to go back to Night Trap because he's going to be here later on, I think. But,
I remember this.
Night Trap was the game that back on the Sega 32X and the Mega Drive. It's really, really tame. But back in the day, it was the reason they got rating systems for video games. And in fact, the vampires in it at the time, they were that against it. The vampires in it got replaced by these ninjas, and they have what look like litter pickers, and they kind of clamp around the person's neck and suck the blood out through this like litter picker thing instead of them biting their neck. It's absolutely insane. But the one I talked about last week, and if you've not seen this film, I recommend seeing it. It's called The City of Lost Children, and it's so weird, but the imagery is so good in it. But I just remember this game creeping me out as a kid on PlayStation 1. It's a really bad point-and-click adventure game. But I can't really see it in this photo very well, but there's these two conjoined old women referred to as the octopus, because obviously they got 8 limbs. The way they talk in the film as well was just creepy as anything. But I've got to see that film again as well. It's on. I'm not advertising it, but if you want to get Studio Canal free trial for a week, you can watch it on there. But,
Hashtag non-spawn.
Yeah, non-sponsors. Yeah, that was. I just remember that, and I had to search for what that was again, but that really sits badly with me. But also, I put this in because Andy from Coast of the Joneses said about Tomb Raider, and the thing I always remember about Tomb Raider that kind of freaked me out was there was a Croft Manor, and you could go around it like in train. And there's a picture here of someone locking him in the freezer, but there was a butler who just followed you around the house all the time, really slow, and you'd be going around and forget about him, and he'd suddenly pop up and start groaning. And that is the biggest jump scare I've had in Tomb Raider, because he brought up Tomb Raider. Here's another photo of that butler. But Andy brought up Tomb Raider, and I thought straight away, that was the scariest thing I remember from Tomb Raider.
I remember putting him in the cupboard, the giant.
Yeah,
sort
the freezer.
Yeah.
You press that button because he moves so slow. That's what everyone does to him. And then there was Ocarina of Time, which is my favourite game of all time. But this first boss inside the Deku Tree, the spider, I remember, first time I played it, I got my friend to do the boss for me. Because once you do the boss, the whole world opens up. So I was like, can you just do this boss for me? Because it's a bit scary. And then I played the whole game and not have to worry about it. So,
that does look scary.
I didn't get the clip, but the clip when you meet it is quite a good reveal as well. And then I tried to get this photo to kind of show it. You start to get this circle shadow around your feet, and basically they're called. I can't remember what they're called now. It's called I can't remember. But they're basically just hands. I don't know if you can see that either.
Oh yeah,
hands, giant hands, and they come down from the ceiling and grab you, and that freaked me out like hell. Not as much as the spider though. And Resident Evil is going to get a mention, but Resident Evil 2, and I put this in because Adam from Theme Park World Tour told me that the crows from Resident Evil 2 made him jump the first time they came through the window, or Resident Evil 1. But I remember Resident Evil 2 was in a police station, and this is one of those two-way mirror rooms. And you walk past it to get an item, but when you come back, this thing just goes through the mirror.
Oh, God.
That was the biggest jump scare I remember from that game. Jeff Hardy's here. That's pretty good. I've not seen the Tomb Raider comments. Cave levels.
Someone's actually mentioned Resident Evil as well, from what I've seen. So earlier on in there.
Yeah, he plays it on VR.
Resident Evil on the Quest is proper jumping.
I'd like to see a video of Andy playing Resident Evil and put it on YouTube. I think that'd be great.
What? Something made me jump on one of the Resident Evil ones, and I can't remember what it was.
Tomb Raider also had ambient noise in the background that sounded like there were footsteps and things. But there are other scary bits in Tomb Raider. It's just the main one I remembered that's on board Tomb Raider was that creepy butler from Tomb Raider 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's when I'm having the dinner.
I remember buying Resident Evil Director's Cut. Resident Evil Director's Cut had the really bad music in the kitchen in the basement. But did you want to read out a few more you've got?
So basically, they're the ones that I did get. I can't find the print screens that I sent you, actually, because I was like, oh no, they've gone. But there was quite a few still there. And they've seemed to have disappeared, so I don't know what's happened.
Oh.
So I will have a look again in a minute. But I will keep looking. But it's for some weird reason it's taken all of them off, so just because that's the way.
Well, people will tell us what they.
But yeah, put it in the comments if you can think of anything as well.
I might flash some more. I didn't want to spend too much time talking because.
So
that's why I went through what I had quickly.
Well, when you're on about the sounds, for me, I always remember I went through a phase where I played Halo, had Xbox 360 and all that lot, and did first-person shooting. As soon as Call of Duty came in, I kind of got a bit bored and didn't want to play as much. But then Gears of War came in, and it's whenever I could hear the tickers, and you could hear them like.
I was going to say I strangely found
the noise they make, and it's that sort of tense feeling, and you're like, oh god! And if you've got your headphones on, you can hear it transferring between one and the other. It's like tickling at your brain, and then you're like, where is it? Oh my gosh! And if you're doing horde mode as well, it's insane.
I strangely found
insane tense.
You remember I strangely found Halo 1 scary when the flood got involved. But
zombies on Black Ops are so scary. They just get faster and faster, and more of them hoard in as you go.
See, I haven't played that in ages. Although another one actually it's just reminded me now. My mind jumped to Quake 3, but then at the same time I was playing Quake 3, it immediately went to Doom. Some people are a bit scared of some of the characters in Doom.
I always found like the music in Doom made it sort of a bit uplifting with all the rock music, so I never really got.
Yeah, it's like heavy metal and that.
But like with the like proper like megapixels and it, not megapixels, but the proper pixelated one.
Before we move on to talking about Scarefest, I have actually got a quick clip of a jump scare from Resident Evil 4, which was one of the only scares that made me jump. Now in this video, you're obviously aware there's going to be a jump scare and probably where it's going to come from. And he's walking to show it in the video, but when I first played the game, I was just running through this section and it just happened in front of me and just latched on. So I'm just going to show that quickly. And when you're not expecting that...
I missed it. I looked down at my phone. I'm so sorry.
Play it again.
You want to play it again?
Loop it again.
We're going to know what happens though.
Did you get it that time?
You get it that time? No, we'll play it third time.
What's the one with the
go on.
Evils, and I can't remember what it was, but basically they modded it with Thomas the Tank Engine. Where it was
Resident Evil 2, yeah. With Dr. X. Dr. X is insane scary.
Like
I didn't want to talk about games I played as an adult.
Sorry.
But no, it's fine. But
I'll be quiet then.
Do we want to talk about... We can dip in and out of the video game thing, people in the chat and stuff, but do we want to talk about Scarefest?
Hell yeah.
So it was opening weekend last weekend. I don't know if James wants to start, because James had a special outfit you'd made as well.
Yes, I did. I actually got a bit of it in the corner there. Skin Snatcher mask, back finally. It was a pretty good. I mean, I think definitely the one thing to take away from this year's event is it is definitely an improvement from the last few years, because a lot of people have been complaining about like the stale lineup and stuff. But yeah, with the new stuff they've added, even some of the mazes still in the lineup, there have been some little changes as well, which has been good. But yeah, overall, I just think it was a really good vibe as well on open day, because like it was sold out on that day, so heaving with people in there. But yeah, I just think the new attractions and stuff are really good additions, I think. Invitation, a little bit improved, but not enough in my opinion. But overall, really solid events. Without going into any spoilers at the moment, because there are definitely quite a few spoilers.
Was Daz there?
He was there briefly. I think me and the Joneses saw him briefly outside the containers, but then he went pretty quickly.
I wasn't sure if that had been leaked and that was why it was so sold out on that first day.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't hear about it beforehand, but then they also had a staff member come out with a load of pop badges as well. So I
got some more free pop badges.
Yeah, I did. I got a Daz Games one.
Did you seek the truth as well?
Altonville. I haven't got that one. Yeah,
I did. I seeked it.
Yeah.
I don't know where mine is. You can probably have it
you can have ours, Jake.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to ask as well before I talk to Ellie, was the Daz Games isn't included in the multi maze thing, is it?
No, it isn't. No, so it's a separate one. And I think normally the one shots are £9 and Daz Games was £10 without the pass holder discount. But I mean, it does really feel like a different attraction as well. Like it isn't. I think the best way for me to describe it is like it's not really an escape room necessarily, more like a scare arena in a way. So it's almost like after the pre-show you're going in and you're almost trying to like. I mean, is it okay if I go into spoilers with this or?
Yeah. Right, spoiler warning, everyone at home.
Spoilers. Yeah, so it's basically after a quite long pre-show on the screens, you basically go into it almost feels like an arena in a way where you're going through trying to find these two symbols that you've been given, and that's what the wristband things are for.
Has everyone been given different ones?
So you get given two random symbols. They'll appear on some screens, and you got to try and remember them, and then go around and find them. I think if it was a pink one, then you could just scan it, and if it was a white one, you had to do a task, and then it would turn pink, and then you could scan it. And then basically got 7 minutes to try and find both of your symbols. While there's actors that really get in your face, are allowed to touch in there as well. which is a big thing. So it feels very different to a normal scare maze, so that's probably why they made it separate. It does make it feel weird why the invitations on the scare maze lineup, because that's such a different thing as well. I guess maybe because it's much more intense thing that some people might not want to do, but and also it's got like very heavy strobes in there. It is actually wheelchair accessible though. We had quite a few people who went through wheelchairs. Yeah, so that was good. But yeah, it is definitely a very different attraction, so I can see why some people might want it separate from the main lineup.
What happens if you find the symbols, and if you don't, is there a different ending or?
It's just basically get out sooner and not be terrorized for as long, I guess. But
are you still kicked out eventually if you decide to go? Actually, I want to stay in here. I'm not going to bother searching for.
Well, in the end, I think like the lights kind of they don't turn fully on, but they're less dim, and then all like the characters kind of like drop down, like they're kind of deactivated in a way,
like
which is really cool. And then you just go out through the exit. Yeah, exactly.
You like to tell us about the characters?
Oh, I can tell
yeah. So yeah.
Like masks.
Yeah. So there's some in masks which are like they've almost got these kind of like really piercing eyes on them, and they're in like white boiler suit things. And then there's kind of like these doll vampire characters who were really good with the interaction in there. And there was one who kept following us who and I think he was the show captain in that maze as well. Yeah, he was brilliant. But
on the second one, I got pinned by 5.
Yes, it was Ellie's first run as well of any maze, so great one to start with.
Is Slenderman in there?
No, unfortunately, I think it was just an
I thought I'd seen photos. That's why I was asking about the characters.
That upset me a lot.
Mannequins.
So, Ellie, do you want to tell us about your experience? Because as James said, it was your first scare attraction you'd ever done.
Yeah, well, going on, I was like terrified of roller coasters, got over that fear, and then scare mazes came across my mind, and I was like, I'm not touching them. But ever since I started doing like Subterra, the dungeons and all that, I was like, I could do it. So I pushed myself onto Daz Games, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, right, pull me onto the Alton build my tours.
Yeah,
and I love that too.
I dragged her in there.
Right. There's one trying to pull him away from one of his symbols.
Yeah, there was 5 trying to pull me away from a symbol.
Yeah.
What did you say? Because I can imagine you probably said something quite funny, especially if you were scared.
Well, the lights went off at one point. There was one of them right in front of me, another to the left. I ran to the side and went into a fence. I ran right into a fence.
God.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like one of those scenes in a movie where they run to the left and they hit a fence.
So before we talk about another maze, I just want to ask James, because he's done all the other ones. Did you do all the other ones this weekend as well?
Yes. So I had a combi, so I did them all once, and then I did Panic and Altonville twice. So. Would
you say Panic is probably the second best one there after Altonville, or how would you order it?
I think at this point, it is second best. Originally, it was very close to beating Tiny's Revenge, but I think the thing with Panic is, like, as good of an attraction as it is, the theming, it's quite basic. It's essentially like a lot of fences and tarpaulin, kind of like in a, kind of like in a maze structure. And also on my second run, there was a bit of an issue with the symbols I was given because they didn't work in the maze, and so they must have been the wrong. So I think they need to try and get the technology a little bit more on point in a way. But
the ones you'd been told weren't the ones that the wristband was.
Yeah, exactly. So I basically had to try to do trial and error. I found one of them, but not the second one. So I still haven't beaten it yet. So I need to keep going through to try and hopefully beat it at one point. But
you can change the symbols.
Yeah. What while you're in there?
When you're signing in and putting your name on, you can like touch the symbols and change.
Yeah. So there's a button on when you're signing in where it says if you've had these symbols before, click this button, it'll change them. So you could just technically keep clicking that till you get some symbols where you know where they are, which is actually a very good tactic. I might do that tomorrow.
And if you're a fan, they've got ride symbols like the Smiler and 13, and that's how if you like your favorite ride, you can just use those symbols.
Yeah. I couldn't find the smile. Apparently, the Smiler one's through a tunnel. I didn't realize they had tunnels in there. So yeah, apparently there's a tunnel like as soon as you go through one bit. So yeah, I'll definitely have to keep exploring.
So did Ben have a wheelchair?
Yeah. So there were a few more people with our group, and
okay.
Yeah, and I believe Holly went with someone in a wheelchair and someone else, and they kind of went as a three. And it was really funny at one point because I was mentioning beforehand about, I'll try not to jump scare you, and then I actually jump scared one of them as like the lights flashed on us behind them, just smiling.
Yeah, you became an actor for a bit.
Yeah, it's great. So good. Yeah.
It sounds like a right bunch of fun though. Like
it really is.
Oh, it is.
Kind of feels like not the same sort of like on par, but like in terms of that unpredictableness of with the actors and stuff, it reminds me a little bit of the Subspecies a little bit.
Yeah,
it was kind of unpredictable what experience you were going to get, and there was different exits as well.
I can't remember what it's called. That one we did about 6-7 years ago at Thorpe Park. That was
Containment.
Was that called Containment?
The one where we had to do the puzzles.
Yeah, and that was an escape room with different.
That was good.
That's what it sounds like.
That was good. Yeah.
Is it worth £10?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so. And there's a lot of, because it's so free roam, like you mentioned with Subspecies. I'd say the only difference is that with Subspecies, it could be that you're out in a few minutes, so you could be in there for a while. With this, you could be in there for a full 7 minutes and get loads of scares and stuff. But yeah, I'd definitely say it's worth it because there is such variety on each run. There's loads of actors in there that'll target you as well, so you want a lot of scares in there, you'll get a lot of that. And yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Yeah, and it's really fun to go around as well, just trying to find the symbols and stuff. So yeah,
I can imagine me leaping in like some Power Ranger or something and be like, come at me.
Yeah. All I'd say is look behind you, there might be a guy in a white mask who's got no expression.
Isn't that Slenderman?
No, it's like Slenderman, but it's not what he advertised.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. It's kind of like a white face, but it has like almost like
a
melting mouth and
Hold
like
on, I have a
kind of
somewhere.
pinpoint. Yeah. They actually dragged me into the maze on the second one. Like the door, like the kind of the flaps open, and I got dragged in by an actress. I was like, okay, here we go. Just fun.
Yeah.
So I do Subspecies. Someone grabbed me and went, "What are you?" And it just dragged me through.
Yeah.
Did you buy any merch, James? From
I did get one little pin, which is beautiful. This amazing. They've done some really good pins this year for the mazes. So, but it's like properly like kind of like a proper metallic pin rather than just like printed on. They've also done like a Darkest Depths invitation. There we go.
Oh, okay. That looks like the clown out of Terrifier, is it?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, like without the nose in a way, but yeah.
Yeah, just imagine that just staring right behind you. Honestly, they did so well with the costumes. It's scary, especially when the lights go out. You can't see what's around you.
And like the massive strobes as well.
Yeah, there's like circus strobes and everything.
Yeah. People have been saying it looks like Corey Taylor's mask.
Yeah, and
it really does.
I agree with that. It does remind me of that, actually. Wow.
I wasn't going to talk about all the mazes because I don't want to ruin it for people, but did you want to, because I know it's your favourite maze of all time, did we want to talk about Altonville?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about Altonville.
Did you go down the
Indeed.
I don't know if you want to talk about what you were thinking before you went in, because obviously you're a big fan. Had you seen had you read a lot of spoilers or seen a lot of construction and things like that?
So I may have had a certain contact who I'm not going to name on here who may have let me into a few little bits beforehand. So I knew quite a few general things, didn't really see anything inside at all. So that was all quite a big surprise. But I had like a lot of trepidation before going in because of how much I loved the original. And from what I was hearing, they were changing mainly a lot of the storyline, a lot of the vibes with it and stuff. So that made me a little bit kind of, is it going to kind of ruin the original? I think from coming out of it, I think I kind of have to judge it separately from the original because it is such a different maze. Like it's pretty much.
They changed it a lot then.
So in regards to the layout, I think a couple of the rooms are new, and then a lot of it's the same, but they've like moved stuff around in each room. But the storyline and the vibes of it's much darker, and it almost doesn't really feel like Altonville anymore. Like it feels like it's still set in the mines, but like a lot of the family's gone, and the new character of Tiny, he doesn't really feel like a skin snatcher in a way, but he's still kind of like a threatening villain in a way. I don't really think he's necessarily scary, but he's more creepy in a way.
I wasn't sure if he was already a character.
There was kind of a bit of a debate whether he was or not. Technically, the name Tiny was never used in the original Maze, but people were thinking that it was. There's like a kind of big character who used to be in the shop at the end.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Saying was Tiny. Yeah. It could technically still be that because again, are you okay with spoilers for this?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
So basically, Tiny to escape police, he's disguised himself, and so he's in like a boiler suit, similar to My Bloody Valentine. There's the main villain in that. He literally looks exactly like him. He has gas mask, minus helmet, and boiler suit.
Oh, so he pops up a few times throughout the maze.
Oh yeah, loads of times throughout. But there's one really good bit at the end of the pre-show because me and Daryl did it start of the day, just the two of us. And it's a sheriff talking to you, explaining about you know the snatchers and stuff, and then the lights turn off and it turn back on, and then Tiny's there and he's killed the sheriff in the corner.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is a really good effective thing. But I just think it's like he doesn't necessarily feel like a skin snatcher. He feels just more like a serial killer, which is good, but it doesn't really feel like the same thing. And also, for some reason, I don't really find the gas masks as scary. Weirdly, like again, creepy, but not necessarily as scary. But I think the best part of the maze is the acting team in there. You know, not to be as biased. Again, I do know one of them technically, but no, they're genuinely doing a really good job. There's a group of cheerleaders in there as well, like the victims, who I think they're probably the best ones.
Well, so it's more like Bloody Valentine, really.
Yeah, it's very similar to those vibes. Yeah,
I like how you got recognised.
Yes, I got targeted a little bit in there, which was good.
Yeah.
But I'd say the cheerleader character's the best because they get the storyline across the best in a way. They're almost like these victims with Stockholm syndrome, where like they go from between being really scared to almost like kind of enjoying themselves in there. And so yeah, they do a really good job with that. So yeah, I still think it's probably the strongest maze on the lineup this year, but I think the original Altonville's still in my heart, but this version, I have to judge it like completely separately just because I keep trying to compare it to the original when I don't really think it's ever going to get to those levels. But yeah, I'd still recommend it. It's still very, very creepy vibes in there.
So. Do you still prefer the original one then?
Oh yeah, definitely. Although I think I'm probably in the minority on that, but yeah, it's definitely still my heart there. But still, Tiny's Revenge is still. I'd say it is a good sequel, but it's a very kind of detached sequel in the way it takes place in the same mines, but it feels completely different in there.
Posting with the Joneses is just put when you mentioned about gas masks. It says, "Are you my mummy?"
Doctor Who, yeah,
very much like that. Yeah,
it did me as well a little bit somehow. I never watched the end of the episode.
And you did Altonville as well, Ellie. Did you want to chime in? Because again, you'd done Des Games beforehand, I think, but you hadn't done Scare Mazes before.
Yeah,
so it's like a proper maze now.
Altonville, it wasn't really scaring me. It was more funny. I enjoyed it. It was quite quirky.
It's like you're watching James getting picked on.
No,
probably. Yeah.
First of all, the jump scares didn't really scare me. They just made me giggle.
And then attractions was getting picked up. So what
were you expecting before you went in? Because obviously you're a bit kind of anxious about going on Scare Mazes before you finally went on them.
Well, I was expecting it to be very dark, separation and all that, but we remained as a group for the entire thing. It wasn't that dark, and the actors weren't as scary as I thought they'd be.
It's
definitely
people either like it or they're like, yeah, I wasn't really that scared. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's quite a mixture. The Altonville mine tours ones.
I'm going to ask James because he's more in the know about. Well, not in the know because I'm asking if he thinks it's going to happen.
Kind of, but yeah.
Do you think that was the swan song, or it's at least going to go next year, or do you think it was going to stay?
I think the reason why they changed it is because they wanted to keep Altonville, but a lot of people wanted it to go, and so I think this is kind of like a new, like what they do with Terror of the Towers, where they do like, you know, what lies within the attic. I think this is going to be the new version of Altonville for at least a few years, because and also a lot of people were saying that the original Altonville was the longest running maze. Technically, the attic Terror of the Towers What Lies Within was there for 9 years, so. Altonville probably could have stayed for a couple more years, but yeah, I think this is their way of being able to keep the maze there for a while longer by completely changing it. And it is a very different maze, but I would have much preferred it if they just cut off all the Altonville ties and just made it into a new story. Like maybe like with that kind of costume, you could have like set it in maybe a factory or a sewer, maybe, or something, and like still have like all the victims and stuff, and still have this tiny character that is going around and killing people, but not have it linked to the mines. I think like one of the biggest parts of the original story was the family in there.
Yeah.
And because you've taken them away and they don't even really reference the family too much in there, it kind of takes like a massive part away from that original maze and makes it's almost like it's got the name slapped on there, but it's very loosely based on it. So
but
again,
when the lights went out and obviously the guys on the floor, you're like, stuff the story, something's just gone down right now. Take me away.
I mean, the only reference was basically that they got detained. That was the only reference we got.
Yeah. So,
and Tiny was the other one who slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, and there's still like a lot of the theming pieces there. Like they still have the jar room there, which has like a lot of bits of skin on the walls and stuff. And one other really cool bit is, so they used to have the like the inflatable section with like all the gas mask bodies. They've now moved that to the shower room bit. And it's really good in that bit if they have a Tiny in that section, because you don't know which one's the real one, because they're all like in the black overalls with the gas masks. And then you don't. I remember when it was just me and Daryl, I looked behind me and then there was just a Tiny behind Daryl, which was, that was pretty good. But again,
blended in and he just jumped out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because last year when we went, I kept flinching and stopping, and Mike's like, what's up? I think there's one there, but I'm not sure, and I don't look up. There was nothing in the end, but
I want to agree with
with
NF attractions. I've said this before, but I think the mazes are best to go on when they first open. A lot of people, for some reason, want to go on them at night when it's dark in there anyway. But I agree with that. I've said that before. When they first open is the best time to do them.
The actors are full of energy, and I'm not saying that's lacking in any way, but they're just full of energy and they're really like raring to go. So it's
which maze?
Yeah, you get the full.
Which maze at Alton Towers, James, do you think won't be there next year?
Oh, good question. Invitation.
Yeah, for sure. They've actually been little.
But I don't know. I've been hearing things that apparently. I originally heard that the reason why the invitation returned this year was because there was a 2-year contract, but now I've been hearing it's 3 apparently. So it could actually be there next year. I'm not sure.
It's the retro squad of Scarefest.
Pretty much.
All I'm going to say is save your envelopes invitation, because we don't want them. That's all we're going to say.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people go on invitation if that was the one you had to pay for separately, and they put Daz Games on the mixed ticket. Would anyone pay to go on that?
I much prefer it that way.
I think it'd have been nice though for him to like pay whichever mazes you wanted, and then
we did that.
Like, do like a voting feedback system in a way. Like, would you vote for this one, just so which one would stay, and which one would go, like we do with the retro squad.
Yeah.
Before I move on from the Scarefest, I'll ask James first again. What was Burial Grounds like?
I thought it was definitely a lot bigger than I expected it to be. It's like a lot more expansive. I thought it was just going to be straight up that kind of side path, but they kind of like
that old path before Wicker Man opened.
Yeah. So it's kind of like where the windows used to be, where you could look into the construction site. But then it kind of like turns it round in a way and then goes back on itself. But yeah, I thought the theming was all right in parts, but I think the costumes looked a little bit cheap in some bits, and the actors. It wasn't necessarily as many scares, it was more interaction in places. And they have like one bit that's indoors where it's like full of smoke, but I don't remember there ever being. Yeah, there were no scare actors in there. It's like
how many times did you do
it? Twice. So we did once during the day, once at night. And night was definitely better.
Is it quite a big queue for it? Or?
Not really. It was like 2 minutes wait.
Yeah.
Did they batch it all right, or were you catching up or getting caught up? Or
there was still like a good amount of space between each person, I would have said, but it was, you could still like see people in front of you, but like you had enough space to either get past them if they were too scared, or keep them at arm's length in a way. So yeah.
Has Ellie got anything to add to that before we move on?
In terms of scares, it was more yelling, like saying that they're the unchosen, we're the chosen, they hate us, we're the scum of the earth, and they want us to get out.
Yeah, it's more like interaction than scares in a way.
Yeah.
You'll have to watch the whole thing, Sibby, but in our vlog from Halloween Farm, we gave you a shout out.
Yeah, we did.
But I hope you're doing well.
But they won't tell you where it is.
But what I also wanted to do tonight was bring back Destination Persuasion, which is sort of a knockoff of Room 101. And I gave 3 topics to both of them. And I let the people in the chat probably decide which one goes into Room 101 each time. So I don't know if we'll start with the first topic was scare attractions. I'm going to start with Ellie this time. Did you have one for scare attractions?
I didn't know.
Well, great start.
He didn't do his homework.
Is there anything you hate about scare attractions?
Not really. I actually really enjoy them. It was more being nervous about them than anything else. But when I got on them, I was just in my zone. I was in my element.
Does that mean I win this round automatically?
Yeah, you probably win. But
Yeah.
James, you want to go into detail about yours?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm way too critical about scare attractions. That's the problem. I'm like a proper critic. So the one I did this time, I probably would have chosen Halloween Horror Nights if I hadn't done it last time. But so for this one, I put free roam scare mazes. So similar to things like Subspecies or survival games. I think Cabin in the Woods, but I think that one was actually fine for the reasons I'll give. But essentially, my biggest problem with them is that you can't really control where the group goes, and so it means you could sometimes get a really short run, like you're out in a couple of minutes, or you could be in there for a really long time. And so like I had so many, like with survival games, for example, this weekend just gone, I had like my best run in it, but I've had so many runs where I'm just out of it straight away. And like considering like, you know, I queue for such a long time, I need to be out, not really have many scares, then yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Where would Daz Games Panic come under that? Would that come under that umbrella?
Well, again, I think the good thing is that because if you don't get your symbols, then you're in there for the full 7 minutes, which means that problem isn't really there in a way. And I think almost like because it's more of an area rather than like a maze. 'Cause I think like with the scare mazes that are free roam, like with survival games or Subspecies, they have sort of a route, but it's kind of like a route that loops on itself.
Yeah.
With Panic, I think it's more like it's much more free roam for the actors as well, which means they can get to areas much easier, which means even if you're like on one side, you'll probably find some actors at some point or another. So yeah, I feel that's more kind of like a scare arena in a way rather than a free roam scare maze like Subspecies survival games like that. So yeah, that's my scare maze.
Something you want to pick for Ellie?
Just so I've got some competition.
I'm a bit on the spot because I want to think this. Anybody in the comments would think of anything actually?
You want to challenge me? Comments.
Challenge me.
I'm gonna ask this now with trepidation. Has Ellie got anything for the other 2 topics either?
Nope.
Yeah, I thought so.
I win.
So guys, in the comments, you've got free reign here.
Right, you're all against me now. Okay.
Strobe lights.
Okay, yeah, because I get that from Laura as well. Yeah, because she couldn't do any of the mazes because of strobes.
Does the Scare Zone have strobe lights as well?
No. So she did manage to do Burial Grounds, which was good. But I went through all the scare mazes before just to check for her, and it's like every single one of them had like maybe one moment where there was a strobe, which I thought was just too much. It's like I wish they could do runs where you could just like switch them off. But I guess, you know, obviously that means you'd have to keep switching them on and off and stuff. But yeah, I definitely agree with strobe lights. But yeah,
I mean, I kind of agree with like you've paid the money to go in. Like I kind of agree when you pay to go in, and then obviously it could probably last 2 minutes to whatever. So this is absolutely awesome.
The only maze they were good in was probably it would have to be Daz Panic. The strobe lights in Daz Panic were absolutely
massive,
off and on every second of the entire duration.
Yeah.
Dr. Frights.
Is
which
it
I've
your
heard about.
birthday today,
It is
Darryl?
Daryl's birthday. Yeah, I'm not going to say how old he is because
They've even changed the themes of the strobe lights. You had like a circus moment where the music changed. They had different themes with all the strobes. But if anyone did have an issue with strobe lights, panic is not the place for it. It is full with strobe lights.
You would panic at that point.
You would, yes.
See,
yeah, scare actors just they do that a lot. Like HHN stuff like that, where it's just the free flow.
Yeah,
and sometimes you'll see people who've filmed walkthroughs and they've called it where the actor's getting back in place, so not even getting that scare.
Yeah, that's exactly my problem.
I think everyone, there's always, no matter where you go, there's always like a circus themed one.
Yeah. I feel like circus and zombies are a bit
like
blasé.
Alton Towers or anywhere else, any kind of venue. There's always a circus.
It's because there's a fear of clowns,
and I get that. But
just like there's a fear of murder. So
I just laughed my head off.
They should have done like a Smiler one where it was like black and yellow and
Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bring back the Sanctuary.
At least a part of it. If they can't bring back bring back some of it in a maze that's panic.
Maybe do a maze that's like highlight, like a room from each past maze of towers.
Yeah.
Or just like Jerry Cannell in a box saying I'm Dr. Kelman or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Anything.
And then if you get it wrong, the guy jumps out and goes, Kelman!
Doctor
starts crawling up.
Dr. Kelman is going to be there on Sunday for anyone who's at Towers.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
On Sunday, ooh.
The day after I'm there as well.
Oh.
Jesus, Jerry.
Corn themed tour mazes. Do you mean like the actual, the corn maze? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the corn maze, yeah.
So have you gone for Modern Life, James?
I do indeed. I don't really know whether necessarily this was Modern Life, but I put phone calls as the first point of contact. So, like for example, if you need to get in touch with a doctor, for example, they need to get in touch with you. The first point of call's always a phone call because normally I don't usually answer unknown numbers or my phone's on silent, so I miss it. Like email or text me. Like they exist, and also I just don't really like phone calls much anyway. But yeah, so it's just always that there's so many places where it's like you have to get a phone call first, or like to book an appointment, or in any of those kind of things, it's always a phone call rather than email, text, or whatever.
I just assumed every time I called Andy, his phone was off, but apparently he doesn't answer it.
Right. Yeah, same.
Yeah, any number that I don't have in my contacts basically gets silenced. I've got like a setting for that because I don't want to accept a scam call. I get too many of them.
Calling you,
Ellie's on my team now. Yes, she's helping me out with mine.
Ellie, have you got something about Modern Life you dislike?
It's basically the phone calls and that. Like, I don't want to get loads of scam calls all day, every day.
I swear I didn't pay her. I swear.
I'm at work. My phone keeps going off, and I'm like, it's just not helping me. Because there's like a speaker where we play music at work, and when I play music at work, the phone calls go through to the speaker. So I've had to find every way to press every button to silence the calls. Yeah.
Oh, you reminded me of Andy told me once that he was in the house and it's synced up to the Bluetooth on the car outside. So I think he said
the doorbell.
Someone else came to his house, and in their car they were getting his music.
Oh.
So it synced up, something like that. Some funny story he told me recently.
I thought it was the doorbell actually.
Is there anything you hate about Modern Life?
Teslas.
Everything.
I'm not a fan of. You're talking to the wrong person because I'm not a fan of most modern things, and I freak out even if my phone does ring. So I'm just like, someone wants me. I don't know who. Yeah. So
how about those new Tesla robots? if you've seen them,
no,
they are terrifying.
Elon Musk is one.
I think.
Okay, I agree. Can I change that to mine?
I think I might win that one. I think Tesla won.
I think in terms of technology, I don't like technology.
I don't like technology.
But just technology in general,
that's fair enough.
No. I like the human interaction, and says me now that's actually using technology to present this.
That's even better.
I just like human interaction better. So
he was on the phone to the MD, and Laura's dad drove into the drive. His phone went to the car, so the MD was talking to his father-in-law.
Oh my lord.
Oh god.
We've got to put that into a
Oh, I
sitcom.
like that one. Civvy Vlogs, Modern Life, the inconvenience of mail. Having to post a letter.
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Or they'll tell you they've been when they haven't, because you go, well, I've just checked the CCTV. You never actually arrived.
I get a bit of anxiety with going to the shops and the self scans because I just can't. And the scanners that you have the scanners.
Yeah, I just do scans
Yeah.
of shops.
Maybe that's just me, but I can't cope with it. And I'm like, I need to stand and chat to someone at a till, or am I just a bit weird?
And I'm just the exact
I
opposite,
long
just
for
avoiding
interaction.
all humans.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
I
thing.
just long for some kind of connection with someone rather than just technology all the time.
I'll ask you first.
Yeah.
Have you got one for wildcards? Just anything you want. Is there anything you want to put into room 101?
No. I'll
No.
put myself in if need be.
It's not something just in general.
Oh.
No, I'll just put myself in.
No? If you're on the spot now, James has got
I
one.
can't
I'm
think
sure
of
James has
anything.
got
I'm
one.
sure
Right, should I come up with a
Sorry.
put Stacey into room runner?
No, I
Okay.
won't put Stacey.
Yeah. Okay. But I thought of one that kind of links to this episode in a way, which is how expensive modern gaming has become.
Yeah.
Like with
God,
how expensive games are. Like for example, with my Xbox, I had to get another controller for it. It was like 50-60 quid.
Would you
Just
say the
for a
same
controller.
about scare mazes?
They're fairly cheap.
They have gone up a little bit, but I think it's kind of gone up because of like
Minimum
the
wage.
inflation and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gone up, I think, to an extortionate amount. I don't think. But yeah, it has gone up a little bit. But yeah, I just feel like with games at this point, like games are like 60 quid usually for a game. It's like I remember when they used to be like 20 or so back in my day.
Oh my
I mean,
god! I remember when
it's
it was $5.99.
The
packet of pies
Joneses
is
have put.
pretty
The Joneses have put this. I mean,
Is there
if they're saying that's a compliment.
Is there anything Ellie hates about modern life?
I hate the railways.
About,
basically.
wild
They
cards,
used to be yeah, it's the railways for me because they used to be so much easier, but now they get rid of ticket offices. The money's bad. They're always striking. It's like if you need to get a train somewhere, especially if I'm trying to get to Alton Towers, I was going for the last day of Oktoberfest. My train was at 2 p.m. I'd get there by 3.
Oh my god!
Are you a fan of HS2?
Oh, I am not a fan of the HS2. They just cancelled Manchester.
They would have come through Crew. I would have
What?
got HS doing Crew.
I don't think Crew is good enough for the HS2,
I
sadly.
mean, good point.
I just want to say it's a little bit of a inside joke, I guess. But goes for the Joneses. Just the way he said, "Do I look 21?" I'll tell you what, he can't drive over 21 anymore. He said all the 30 roads in Wales have been changed to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Tells me about that every time I see him there. But I was going to say the ULEZ charge.
ULEZ. Oh, at the Chessington.
Well, just in general,
area.
if it was really to make the environment better, then they wouldn't have to charge it, surely, because everyone would have changed their cars.
Yeah, maybe.
I like how
And
you guys
also-
are kind of like going for political issues, and I just went prices of games.
And that's why the news
Completely
today, there was something about the cost of replacing them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how about a railway game? A railway game, they keep producing another one, and it's got to the point where like the deluxe is 80 quid.
See, Sibby wins.
Inconvenience of flying with Ryanair.
It's like the
Ryanair.
Flintstones. You have to get your feet out and push the plane yourself.
Don't get me started with the spinal adjustment airline.
Go on.
Yeah, I can't think.
Okay,
of anything
they've
about
gotten that bad that they nearly swung the wing onto the runway.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Shall we have a look
I
at?
can't think of anything for wildcard, but there we go.
Let's have a look at some photos to finish up on. I think the first one James knows about.
Oh, careful.
Ooh.
I don't want to go too much into the spoilers for the endings or stuff,
so
but
good.
I don't know. Does James want to take the hammer? I've watched both of these.
That gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Have you watched them, James?
No, I don't. I think I might have watched the start of the first one, but yeah, then never continued with it.
I'm guessing Ellie's not
yeah.
watched.
No, but it looks intriguing.
Basically, the first one's a lot better than the second one.
Wow.
The funny thing is, this started out as a documentary about haunted houses in America. Then they decide to make a horror film. So some of the footage and interviews of random people outside haunted houses is legit. But it's about a group of people who are doing a documentary to find basically the in-films universe equivalent of McKamey Manor. They're trying to find the most extreme haunted house, if anyone knows what McKamey Manor is. And then they go to all these haunts. They're in the middle of nowhere. And then they find these actors they've seen in other haunts miles and miles away and following them. And eventually they get put into this maze. They get driven there at night. But it's a really good film, but I've not actually given away what happens at the end at all. It's really, they end up going to a really extreme haunted house, basically, against their will.
Is that the one with the bottom of the stairs?
No, but we're going to get into that. No, but we're going to get into that.
Okay, that's the one that got me, and I literally cannot look at the bottom of that
the second house. Don't watch the second one first, because there's a cliffhanger ending, and the second one takes place exactly where the first one ends. And it would have been better if they didn't make a sequel, but and also it's a found footage film, and the second one has a drone shot in it, which kind of takes out the fact it's a found footage film. Like in the middle of the film, not even at the start.
I mean, nowadays
sequels are usually bad. Sequels are just like they're trying to think of something new, but they're failing at it.
The first one is really good. If you're into like horror films and you want to see something that's about like scare mazes and things like that, the first one is really good.
Just don't, Paul's McKamey Manor is a scam and is fake.
It is. I think it is. I don't think they're overpaid.
Kristen with the Joneses have put, we have the Ghost Watch DVD ready to watch with Darcy this Halloween.
Oh, we're going to a watch party for that.
I just spill the beans, or did I let the cat out of the bag?
We're going to a watch party for that, so that should be good.
Yeah.
And I watched it about a month ago.
Travel by train for the other thing as well, which we kind of agreed with. But Fear Farm. Now, has anyone seen Fear Farm before I talk about that?
No. I'm an uncultured swine.
I don't know if Park Pop's going to like this. Basically, the film starts with a group of 4 quote-unquote teenagers, but they're played by adults. And they go to a corn maze, scare maze, and they're the 10,000th guest or whatever. So then they get to go in a separate, more extreme corn maze, just the 4 of them, with actors and things in it. I'm not going to spoil any more than that, but a lot of stuff happens, and there's a big twist at the end of the film that's really good. And I'd recommend this one.
It just goes from there.
There's a sequel to this as well, and it's a bit like, without giving too much away, if you've seen this Hostel Part 2, it doesn't really feel the same as the first one because you know the twist. Fear Farm 2 is the same. It kind of doesn't feel right because you already know the twist. But if you got a way to watch Fear Farm, I'd recommend that. Probably not over Houses October Built, but it's still a good film. But I don't want to give away what happens at the end because a lot of these are. Now this is the one you were talking about.
This is the one that really got me, and
it's so subtle though.
I don't. This is the thing, but it lets you lead your imagination.
It feels
away
real
a bit as to what it felt too real to me.
Because the actors aren't like well-known actors, so it felt real. It's another found footage film, and it's about a group of people who get this. It sort of looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but it can't be because people go to visit it. They build a scare attraction of their own in a hotel, and it kind of goes wrong. At the start, you see the end of the film, just before what happens at the very end.
Yeah.
Then it flicks to the start, and you see them building it and stuff. And a lot of stuff happens in the house because they stay in the house while they're building it. And a lot of creepy things happen, and they're quite subtle, but really good. I'd say this is the one film you got to watch on this list. All the ones I say.
There's no soundtrack in the background. It's just pure.
Oh yeah, it's just pure found footage.
Yeah, like core noises, and the slightest noise just puts you on edge.
I'm not sure.
If you quite like your sounds and things, then
I'm not sure.
I recommend it.
The acting's good in it,
spooked.
And I'm not sure if it's still on Prime, but it's called Hell House LLC. There is a second and a third film. They're pretty much garbage compared to the first one. They try to put in like plot points, and some bits happens before the first film, and it's rubbish. Just watch the first one. This is the film out of all these films I mentioned tonight. This is the film you want to watch if you're only going to watch one. Definitely.
To be honest, I'm not scared of clowns, and there was one where it was
giving it away. You're giving it away,
and it got me a bit on edge. Like, I'm never scared of them, but that one got me on edge. Leaving it that way, but it's not just all clowns.
And Hellfest. Do you remember Hellfest?
Yes.
Has anyone else seen the Hellfest? It's a bit more upmarket.
No.
This takes place in a theme park during Halloween where there's scare mazes on. And there are a few bits that basically there's a murderer going around and he only wants to seem to murder this specific group of people. But he murders a few other people, but really it follows this group that are running away from him in this crowded theme park. And there's scare mazes. But it's quite funny because there's things like where I thought if this happens in real life, you wouldn't know, where he's killing people in a scare maze and people think it's part of the act. So like, oh, that's really good. While he's just stabbing this person to death.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if that happened in real life, I would have no way to know.
The immersion, though.
I do remember this
I
scene
didn't like it.
in the second It, where Pennywise was in the mirror maze with a kid. That got really freaky. Like, he was just headbanging eventually, and then he got through.
It just makes you imagine like he's a rock star headbanging, like.
Yeah, but the smile he gave off was just creepy.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the Kirsty with the Joneses put Watership Down is as scary as I go. I used to watch that as a kid, so what does that say about me?
I'm just imagining making a Watership Down.
The original one.
Hellfest was alright. I think.
Apparently, it was awful compared to the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer. I just watched the film, but I think it's a good film. But that's just my opinion. But the last film I've got on this list isn't a horror film. It's more of a. I say it's psychological. It's really weird, but I don't know if anyone here's heard of it and it's theme park related. It was a film that was filmed at Disneyland without Disneyland knowing.
Representing.
And they almost got in trouble when it went to Cannes Film Festival 10 years ago in 2013. But then Disney decided the best thing to do was to ignore it and pretend it didn't exist. Basically, it's called Escape from Tomorrow.
Oh.
And it's, from what I remember, it's all in black and white. And it's about this guy, and it's more psychological, and it's about things that are wrong with him in his life, and it's how Disneyland isn't really as happy as it wants to come across as.
You sure it's not Emily Alton?
Yeah, it's a really fun watch because it's all, well, until the very end where they had to do some blue screen shots, the majority of it is actually filmed at Disneyland without Disneyland's permission. So you
gotta love that.
It's like body cams and stuff. So you see people's reactions when the guy's going mental and looking for his kid. They're looking there like, oh, this guy's going mental and looking for his kid. But obviously they don't know he's acting. But I'd recommend that one if you want something a bit different, but it's not a horror film in any way.
Is there a game on it as well to do with like theme parks and there's like horror things going off as well? I'm sure there was a game about it.
About what? Scare
you had to sit on like an abandoned like theme park as the character. It was like a first-person game. I have to research.
Oh, the park, yeah.
Oh, the park. Oh, that's a
Little Nightmares is a good horror game.
What's that?
Little Nightmares, that's a good horror game.
Little Nightmares, yeah. But the park takes place as a dilapidated theme park. But yeah.
EMP are like selling the little miniature figure as well. For like, it's 50 quid though. But yeah, it's.
So Escape from Tomorrow, if you want something a bit interesting, because it's filmed on location without their permission. Hell House, if you're going to watch one of these, watch Hell House. But they're all fairly good, to be fair. But I think Hell House is the best one.
Does.
If you want, all these films are, apart from the last one, are all scare maze themed. The story in the film.
If you want to feed the trauma.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I think we'll wrap up there. I don't know if there's anything else. I'll ask James first.
Anyone else want to put anything in the comments?
Say, James, before we wind down.
Happy spooky season.
You got any videos coming up soon?
I have so many videos on my backlog.
I've got mine up, and then I'm vlogging on the 21st, so that'll be another vlog.
Yeah, I mean, I filmed a quick vlog on Towers' opening day, so that's filmed with Daryl with some of our maze reactions. Me in a skin snatcher, him in a banana costume, and then I'll probably be filming some stuff like scare mazing and stuff. So yeah, no, I didn't in the end. It was just really tired on that day, and obviously certain things that might have happened with a certain mask on that day, which let's not go into. But so we didn't film on that one, but I'm sure I'll probably be filming if I go to Thorpe next year. But there's also Burton Screamfest. I'll film for that, and go to Scarefest on Halloween. So yeah, Screamfest will be great. Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Oh, that sounds really good. Do you know what I thought was really funny is that both peeling, like the peeling banana skin and the peeling of actual skin. I thought that was quite cool. There's a thing. You got the memo.
Ellie, have you got anything you want to promote before we wrap it up?
I'd basically promote Daz Games Panic. It may not be like the scariest of mazes, but it's definitely.
Are you sponsored?
What?
No.
He representing.
Representing.
Are there any of your own videos you want to that are coming out soon, or you want to?
I got the one that's out today, but obviously I'm going to vlog the 747 tour in Cotswold this weekend, and then I'm back to Scarefest on the 21st. So there's plenty of vlogs to come out. It might be a travel vlog on the last weekend, but if it gets cancelled, it'll be Scarefest again.
Yay.
Yeah, free Scarefest trips. Yeah, I mean, if it does get cancelled, it's no biggie. I love Scarefest.
Do you love scare attractions almost as much as the planes now?
Yeah, just as much.
Oh.
And now we're going to put a scare attraction on a plane. That would be perfect.
Snakes on a plane, yeah.
That'd be great.
What was your opinion of snakes on a plane, Ellie? Did you ever see that?
I loved it. It was great. It was really funny rather than jump scares. I did the bit with Samuel L. Jackson. That was the best. That was golden. That quote.
It was in most of it.
I have had it with these goddamn snakes and this goddamn plane.
Only not goddamn.
Yeah, the other swear words.
Yeah.
Gotta be clean.
Have you seen the clean version of that film where he dubs over? I've had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday.
No, I've never seen that.
I've seen it, but I just couldn't get through it all. It was just too funny.
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything else before we?
I just want to say thank you everyone for listening. As for the photograph challenge, love to explore. Tag us in it. It's spooky themed, so anything spooky themed. Obviously not nude, but anything spooky themed this time. But I just put spooky, but some people might take it to extremes and be like, "We're not into that kind of."
Take it to the next level.
So yes. So if you want to tag
like
us,
show that skin, not any other skin.
Or just that skin, thank you.
Or how about the snatch skin?
Or tag me, Stacey _L2E, and then I can probably share it on my stories as well.
And, next week we'll do one again because it'll be third Thursday of the month, so it'll be another lounge episode where we're going to talk about what's happened in the last month and things like that. And have a quiz maybe. Maybe we'll do Destination Persuasion, but everyone will have something. I don't know if Ellie knows our catchphrase. Did you want to do it in the style of Daz Games?
I had it on the top of my throat, but I can't say it. I forgot.
Oh, does James want to say the catchphrase then?
Why would you think I remember it?
Oh.
I thought it was part of the joke. We're not supposed to remember it, right?
Right.
But we'll see you
in the review.
because for now
we go.
Bye!